My name is Norris Tyrone Darden, and you are tuned in to another episode of Live with the candidate Norris Tyrone Darden for City Council District 2. So we got a very brief, I know I say it every time, we have a very brief agenda, but it's going to be very informative. So I want to first start off by highlighting an organization, the Black Equity PAC of San Antonio, Texas. There was a forum this past Tuesday, I believe. Today is Thursday. This past Tuesday that they put on. I believe this is their first full year in existence, and it's going to be their first year doing the municipal elections. And so I want to say this. They did a great job. It was very professional. They allowed the candidates to get their messaging across. They allowed constituents and just people from the community to be a part of that process. And so I want to commend you guys on what you've done in regards to bringing that together. You did a great job. All right. With that being said, though, I want to highlight you guys' website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Let's try one more time. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to go. And so this is really simple. This is really simple. You're going to Google, and I'll get us back there. You're going to Google and I'll do it for you again. www, not Google, but Black Google.com. I'm going to show you the easiest way that I got there. Black Equity PAC. Then you're going to click on it. And you're going to go on their website. And so on their website, alignment, advocacy, and action are their taglines. Contribute, volunteer, and run. So contribute to the PAC, volunteer to support Black candidates, and run for office yourself. And then it goes down and talks about what they're about. So just looking up here, so one thing that I liked, I clicked on candidates, and because they're a new organization, they don't really have a lot of data here, but they did support an African-American candidate, Rebecca Clay Flores. She is our Precinct 1 commissioner, newly elected in the November election. She unseated an incumbent, a long-sitting incumbent, I think maybe 4 terms, 3 or 4 terms. She unseated that incumbent. And then it says here, you could be next. Who knows? The next person they endorse, maybe the next city council person, the next mayor, the next congressperson. But again, I like that piece. It also has another piece here where candidates, you don't have to wait for them to reach out to you. Candidates can reach out. And so they have a survey here. And based on that survey, if you go all the way down through the questions, all the way at the end, it basically says within 2 weeks, they'll get back with you. So, they'll get back with you for an interview, and then you can go from there. So I love that. There's an opportunity to register to vote. I didn't click on the shop icon. Okay, that's coming soon. That's pretty cool. They have the t-shirts. And then one thing here, and like I talk about with my campaign, every campaign, you have love, you have energy, you have passion, but every campaign in regards to candidates, it takes money. Well, in supporting campaigns and candidates, that takes money as well. And so they have here an opportunity to donate. You just click that donate button, and they have an opportunity to donate once, or you can donate monthly. I know several of the people on this political action committee. They're very good people in this community. They have the right idea of what's going on. So I'm not going to do it doing this live, but I'm going to commit to making a monthly donation. And so I would, kind of promote others to do the same thing, because I believe we should support each other, and we should support positive things that are going on in our community by us and for us. So hopefully you've got a little bit of information on the Black Equity PAC here in San Antonio, Texas. I know they did mention that their goal is to obviously here locally on a county and state level to do a great job, but ultimately be a force on the national level as well. And so I commend you guys for doing that. All right, let's get into our questions. Okay, thank you, Martha. Martha says, great job. Thank you, Martha, for that. So there were some questions put out by the community, and so I'm going to respond to those questions. And it was based on the Black Equity PAC. So as the development on the east side of San Antonio continues to boom, how would you collaborate and partner to maximize and sustain growth with new developments like East End, the Bowden Campus Center, Friedrich Lofts, and the Velocity Texas Innovation Center? I think that's a great question. So as a teacher, I'm always looking at the keywords in here. So the keywords here are development, collaborate, partner, maximize, and sustain growth. So let's kind of look at those things. So we know development on the east side at times, and we're talking about District 2, but these specific developments on the east side, so let's focus on those. Sometimes they're not looked at as positive things, and for the most part, it's because the residents don't feel like they are part of the process. Now, several of these developments have already started. They've already broken ground, and one or two of them are already near completion. But I think the key, and we look at other keywords like collaboration and partner, we not only need to collaborate with the council office in the city, we not only need to collaborate with the developers and the investors, but we also need to collaborate with the community. For example, whether it's the Bowden Campus Center, Friedrich Lofts, or the Velocity Texas Innovation Center, what we need to understand is whether those things directly impact the community on an economic level, on a housing level, on an educational level, the people are there are stakeholders. And so whether it's an advisory board or commission, whether it's connectivity to resources, we have to ensure that the people in the community are connected to those things. And so for me as a council person, and I've been talking about this in regards to my campaign, we need to coalition build. And so when connecting these developments, East End, Bowden Campus Center, Frederick Lawson Velocity, Texas Innovation Center, they all bring different things to the community: live, work, and play, that tech piece, jobs, housing. They all bring different things to the table. But the reality is this: they all bring something to the community that the community should be able to benefit from. So how would I collaborate and partner? Number one, I would work with these entities and see if there's any advisory boards, any type of initiative they have going on that the community can be involved in. If there's some jobs coming, I would get ahead of the curve and say, hey, what kind of jobs you have? And how will they be open to the community? What is the application process? What is the training process? And then let's say these developments are 3 to 6 months down the road, 6 to 12 months down the road, partnering with, let's say, SA Ready to Work, and ensuring that they are given the training that, let's say, 300 jobs are coming to our district. Well, we get that training from the SA Ready to Work initiative, and then that can be transferred over to these other opportunities, let's say through the Velocity Texas Innovation Center. But ultimately, we have to start thinking ahead, because if we wait until opportunity gets here, we're going to miss it. So that's just a quick glimpse of how I would partner with these different developments that are coming to the community. Again, it may be housing, it may be education, it may be economic development, it may be recreation. We just have to figure out where the community, the current existing community fits in and how we can put it together. But it's going to take timing, planning, and we're going to have to work together. Okay, looking at the next question. How can the residents of D2 ensure we are educated and aware of vaccination opportunities and have equitable access to the vaccines? That's a great question. That's something we've kind of looked at. So in our current forum, the moderator was asked about the vaccination and getting people connected to them. And so one of the responses was in D2, District 2, we had a location. That location was the Alamo Dome, and that within 9 minutes, the 5,000 or so reservations or whatnot were already filled within 9 minutes. My thing is, how can we truly say that site was for District 2 if it was open to the entire city, to the entire county? And if there wasn't a pre-registration or ahead of time, people in the community linked to our senior centers, to our places where there is a mass number of people, then how can we ensure that our residents, the ones that need it the most, are connected? Ultimately, I believe that was a failure because we had to resort to other entities on the state level, in the faith-based communities, and even private citizens that may be small business owners having to come and mobilize and get vaccination opportunities available. And so how can we ensure education? Number one, at a city level, we have information before anyone else. Just like they talk about the winter storm, the city knew a week or two ahead of time. We could have prepared. The same thing goes with the vaccinations. If we're working with the state who's controlling how vaccinations are distributed to the cities and the counties, then guess what? We know, okay, whether it's a day or a week or a month ahead of time, Bear County and San Antonio is going to get this many. Okay, we look at our high need areas. District 2 is a high need for our seniors. It's a high need in regards to health issues that are in our community for the Black and brown communities. So let's make sure that we're partnering with the people that can get those mass amount of residents into those databases, into those queues, so they can be set up for those vaccinations. And so again, it goes back to coalition building. We don't want to think after the fact. Let's call the preachers. Let's call the nonprofits. Let's call these small businesses. And we don't want people having to work out on their own, getting 100, 200, 300 at a time when we can get 5,000 at a time right here in our community. So ultimately, for me, we have to be ahead of the curve. We have to share information. We have to coalition build and work together so we can get the maximum return on the investment we're making on our time and our efforts. Okay, and the final question that was sent: what can San Antonio do to achieve greater transparency and accountability with local police? I think that's a great question. Transparency and accountability are probably the two most important words in politics, in leadership, and in government. But guess what? They're probably the most two overlooked. Think about it. Politicians and leaders often have a do as I say, not as I do type of mentality, or just a trust me type of mentality. Often, and I can pride myself on being an educator, and I'm using the word teacher loosely, but often politicians and elected officials, leaders, they aren't great teachers. And so they're not patient enough to take the time to walk people through processes. How do you gain transparency? You share information, you answer questions, you make yourself available. And so when you're not doing those things and you're not taking those steps, guess what? It's hard to come across as being transparent. And when you're not transparent, how can we hold you accountable? When you haven't said, this is the plan, this is my platform, this is the strategy. And once we start going through those processes, guess what? If we're not following through, that's when we're going to be held accountable. But if you never shared your plan, if you never were open about the steps to progress, if you never were open about what the process was to prosperity, when people say, well, we're not doing this or we're not getting that, they can't really hold you accountable because they don't even know what you committed to. And so ultimately, we have to be better educators, better communicators, and just be open, honest, and available at all times. I believe that's how we can achieve greater transparency and accountability. specifically with the police, I think it goes the exact same way. When we're communicating, whether it's a dash cam or a body cam, uh, victims, the family of victims is requesting for it to be released. Guess what? We got to be 100% transparent and open and honest. We're not going to be able to do that until this is cleared or until we close this piece of the investigation. We're going to keep it open to you. As soon as we have the clearance, we're going to call you and let you know when we can release this body cam or this video. At the end of the day, if we're not being open and honest, it's always going to look like we're hiding something. And that is the distrust that the community has right now with police, with government, and at times with our unions, not just specifically talking about our police union, but unions in general, because at times we're not open with all the information. And that may be some people's strategy to keep people in the dark. But in a democratic society where the people should drive the decisions, we have to be open and honest, and we have to be available. So for the police, I think for elected officials, when we get information, whether it's the mayor, the police chief, the city council person, we have to provide that information to the community. If we don't, again, it makes us look like we're hiding things, and it creates that distrust. All right, guys, I said this was going to be a short one. At the end of the day, we have a campaign to run. And ultimately, as I always continue to say, campaigns, they do run off hope and love and energy and passion. But beyond all that, they also run off donations. They also run off contributions. And so I'm going to put up this graphic, Team Darden Telethon. And all you got to do is go to the website, www.teamdardensa.org. I believe I have a banner for that. So I'll put that up. And I'm sorry, it's not .org, it's .com. But all you have to do is go to the website, press the donate button, and you got it. It's there. And so again, that's www.teamdardensa.com. And so that's scrolling on the bottom. And then you can go to donateway.com, and enter this. But it's easier if you just go to the website. All right. I don't see any other questions. I appreciate those who tuned in. Shout out to my boy Frankie, because I know he's going to be looking at it later. But let's just keep pushing. We don't have too many more days before April 19th. And so what I want to say is this. If you're registered to vote, get the information you need from each candidate and make an informed vote. If you're not registered to vote, guess what? Get the information you need, and somebody who is registered to vote, share with them. But ultimately, we need as many people as possible to come to the polls. Again, this is your candidate, Norris Tyrone Darden, on our Thursday live talk. And I'll see you guys again on Tuesday. Be blessed. And always remember, call Tyrone and help is on the way.